Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something brewing in Jersey, a situation around the Havre des Pas bathing pool that's really reached a boiling point.
Yeah, it's quite the story. We're diving into the collapse of the tender process for the pool. It was being managed by Jersey Property Holdings, JPH, and it's all fallen apart.
And this isn't just bureaucratic mess up, is it? This has led to the community calling for a second public protest, which is pretty significant.
It really is. It points to some serious allegations about government obstruction, potential conflicts of interest. It's messy.
We're basing this on information that came out just last week, Thursday, October 9th, from a Havre des Pas Community Improvement Group meeting. Deputy David Warr, who chairs the Lido steering group, he basically laid out why the whole thing imploded.
Right. And the key thing for you listening is this isn't necessarily the end for the community's hopes for the Lido. It's more like a forced pause, a pause in what seems like a deeply flawed process.
So the mission today is really to unpack why it failed and why the public needs to know what's allegedly been going on behind the scenes with the government and JPH.
Exactly. Because there's a feeling that things are being hidden.
Okay, so let's start with the community side. There was this group, Love Our Lido Limited, LOL, right, formed back in mid-2024.
Yeah, they set themselves up specifically to take the site out of sort of direct government control, operate it as a charity, a really positive step.
And they pulled together a seriously impressive board of governors.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't just any names. You've got Matt Falla from Evelyn Partners, founder of Man Club Jersey as well.
Big finance background there.
Huge. Then Sally Minty-Grav at MBE. I mean, she's an absolute legend in sea swimming, sport in general.
Right.
Giles Robson, globally known blues musician, brings that cultural angle. And Malcolm Lewis, who knows Jersey hospitality inside out, he chairs the Jersey Hospitality Association.
So a real powerhouse team. You'd think with that kind of expertise and community backing, getting the lease sorted would be, well, manageable.
You would think. But the first massive hurdle, according to the sources, was the money, specifically the running costs.
The maintenance. How much are we talking about?
Well, the figure that's been mentioned, even read out in the state's chamber before, so it's public record, is around £180,000 per year, average cost.
It's £180,000. Okay. And what did JPH put on the table for the winning bidder?
Just £60,000.
60. So only a third of what's actually needed. That sounds inadequate, doesn't quite cover it.
Woefully inadequate was the term used, I believe. And the crucial part here is LOL wasn't actually asking for the full $180K as a grant.
Oh, right. What was their proposal then?
They were committed to fundraising the difference themselves, which is a huge undertaking. But they asked JPH to simply underwrite the gap for a few years, basically act as a safety net while they got the fundraising machine up and running.
So just to guarantee the difference if LOL couldn't raise it all immediately, minimizing the risk to taxpayers.
Exactly. It seemed like a sensible way to de-risk it for the charity, give them breathing room, but JPH refused.
They refused to underwrite. Why? Did the source give any reason for that? It seems counterintuitive if you want the project to succeed.
According to Deputy Warr's account, JPH just wouldn't play ball. They turned it into this rigid, cost-saving exercise, effectively trying to shift all the financial risk, including that massive £120,000 shortfall, straight onto the charity from day one.
Onto the governors personally, potentially.
Well, yeah, that's the implication for a charity board. It wasn't a partnership approach at all. It felt more like an attempt to offload liability.
Okay, so that's the money side. But then there's the whole timeline. And the way JPH handled the process itself, it sounds like that was just as problematic.
Oh, definitely. The timeline really highlights the frustration. LOL put in their expression of interest way back, end of 2024, December 30th. Formal tender went in February 2025.
Right.
They got shortlisted in May. Then, July 18th, they're officially named the preferred bidder. But here's the kicker. They were given a hard deadline of September 30th, 2025 to sign the lease.
So, roughly 10 weeks from preferred bidder status to final signature.
That sounds tight for a complex public asset lease.
It is tight, but manageable, you'd think, if everyone's working together. But that's not what happened, according to the report.
What went wrong?
Well, the source described ongoing unprofessional behavior from JPH. They basically dragged the process out. The most glaring example was a senior JPH person taking a 4-week holiday right in the middle of this crucial negotiation period.
4 weeks, and everything just stopped.
Apparently so. Negotiations ground to a halt for a whole month, and then JPH refused to extend that September 30th deadline, despite the delay they caused.
So LOL was basically cornered. They had to withdraw on September 29th, the day before the deadline expired.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just the stalling. The core reason they had to pull out was JPH's complete lack of transparency on really critical operating costs.
Ah, like the electricity you mentioned.
Exactly. This is where it gets, frankly, unbelievable. Electricity costs average around £30,000 a year for the site. Okay, significant, but maybe manageable.
Yeah, but it's incredibly volatile. There was one month where the bill jumped from £11,000 the previous year to £40,000 this year. Just astronomical.
£40,000 in a single month. Wow. How could a new charity possibly budget for that kind of swing?
They couldn't. And that's why the governors, quite reasonably, asked for due diligence. They wanted to see the actual bills, get access to the meter, understand the usage patterns. You know, basic stuff before signing a lease.
Makes perfect sense. What did JPH say?
No.
Just no.
According to the report, JPH refused access to the meter, refused to show the actual bills. They essentially told these highly experienced governors, finance directors, industry leaders that they just have to believe us.
Just believe us on a potentially £40,000 a month liability. That's extraordinary. You can't run a charity or any business like that.
You absolutely cannot, and it gets worse. The source material states that JPH's own estate agent warned the LOL governors directly, told them the deal, as it stood, was a poison chalice, a hand grenade.
Their own agent said that. That's a massive red flag.
Huge. So the governors, facing unknown, potentially massive personal liability and being denied basic financial information, they had no choice. Their fiduciary duty meant they couldn't sign. They were forced to walk away.
Which is completely understandable. But now, with LOL out, the focus shifts to who's next in line, the reserve bidder. And this is where the ethical alarm bells really start ringing, isn't it?
Uh-huh. This is where it gets really uncomfortable. The reserve bidder, the counterparty now seemingly positioned to take over the site, is a partnership.
Okay. Between who?
Between a constable of a neighboring parish.
A constable, an elected official.
Yes, an elected parish leader. And the other partner is described as an individual with a poor reputation. Someone the Harve community group had actually asked to be removed from doing business in the area previously.
Hold on. An elected constable, tendering for a public asset, seemingly for their own financial gain, and partnering with someone the local community group has issues with.
That's what the source material indicates. And crucially, tendering against the community-formed charity, LOL.
How is that not a massive conflict of interest? An elected official using their position, potentially, to gain commercial advantage on public property, especially when they reportedly haven't engaged with the user groups like LOL did.
It raises enormous questions about propriety and public trust, and you have to remember the context of that 2024 protest.
Right, the one where the signs literally said JPH out, love our Lido in.
Exactly. And after that protest, the chief minister himself made a public promise that the site would be handed to Love Our Lido Limited.
A promise from the chief minister.
Yet somehow, JPH, the very organization the public wanted out, ended up managing the tender process that was supposed to deliver on that promise, effectively overseeing their own potential removal.
It seems fundamentally flawed from the start. How could JPH possibly manage that process impartially?
It does seem like a built-in conflict, and responsibility for JPH ultimately falls under the Minister for Infrastructure.
So where has the minister been in all this? Surely they should be overseeing JPH, ensuring this process was fair and transparent.
Well, according to Deputy War's comments at the meeting, the minister has been conspicuously absent. He's quoted as saying the minister has never engaged and has tried to wiggle away from this situation at every chance.
No engagement from the responsible minister on such a high-profile, contentious issue. That's quite something.
It suggests a real lack of grip, or perhaps avoidance, which is why the community group felt they had no other option.
Then another protest.
Exactly. The meeting voted unanimously for it. They feel these horrific goings-on, as they put it, are being deliberately kept under wraps by the government and JPH. They want it all out in the open.
And they've set a date.
Yes. Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Around 12:45 p.m. in the Royal Square. The aim is clear. Get the negotiations with LOL back on track and force the government, especially the minister, to actually acknowledge the public's wishes and the seriousness of this mess.
It feels like this whole episode says a lot about the current government, especially with the 2026 election starting to appear on the horizon.
I think it does. It raises questions about their ability to manage key government organizations like JPH, which the source flat out called a failure of an organization.
And their responsiveness to the public.
Well, yeah, a perceived complete lack of delivery for the public of Jersey's wishes. These are the people who elected them. It also highlights potential waste, the source mentioned, almost as an aside. The roof at the Lido still leaking, despite contractors apparently going over budget on other things. It paints a picture of mismanagement.
So the core takeaway seems to be this. A highly credible, community-backed charity with an expert board was effectively forced out. Why? Because the government entity, JPH, refused basic transparency and tried to shift unacceptable levels of risk onto them.
Pretty much. JPH's obstruction, the lack of ministerial oversight, the refusal to provide basic financial data, the poison chalice warning, it all led to the collapse. And now the alternative seems ethically fraught.
This isn't just about a swimming pool anymore, is it? It's become a fight for accountability, for transparency, for whether the government actually delivers what the public wants, especially when it comes to cherished assets like the Lido, the jewel in the crown of Jersey.
Absolutely. It's about fundamental principles of governance.
And it leaves us with a rather stark question, doesn't it? Is public protest now the only way Jersey residents can actually get their government, particularly the Minister for Infrastructure in this case, to listen, to act transparently, and to fulfill their basic responsibilities?
It certainly seems to be the tool the community feels is necessary right now. It forces the issue into the public square, quite literally. That's the thought we'll have to leave you with as we watch what happens on October 21st.
Indeed. A situation demanding public attention. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.